Praise the Lord, my beautiful, blessed souls. We are back with another word, bruised and not broken. I know Dueteronomy 28 was a lot. There was a lot to cover. I went through the Willie Lynch document that kind of talked about some of everything with it and how the laws and stuff is set up. It just to show us what is going on in the world and how we're living here up under these demonic forces. But now we are in Dueteronomy chapter 29. I know I had to do 1, 2, and 3 on Dueteronomy 28. It is a lot. But here we are with 29. We are going to get started. Deuteronomy chapter 29. These are the words of the covenant that the Lord commanded Moses to make with the people of Israel in the land of Moab, besides the covenant that he had made with them at Horeb. And Moses summoned all Israel and said to them, "You have seen all that the Lord did before your eyes in the land of Egypt, to Pharaoh and to all his servants and to all his land, the great trials that your eyes saw, the signs and those great wonders. But to this day the Lord has not given you a heart to understand, or eyes to see, or ears to hear. I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes have not worn out on you, and your sandals have not worn off your feet. You have not eaten bread, and you have not drunk wine or strong drink, that you may know that I am the Lord your God. And when you came to this place, Sihon, the king of Heshbon, and Og, the king of Bashan, came out against us to battle. But we defeated them. We took their land and gave it for an inheritance to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of the Manassites. Therefore keep the words of this covenant and do them, that you may prosper in all that you do. You are standing today, all of you, before the Lord your God, the heads of your tribes, your elders, and your officers, all of the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and the sojourners who is in your camps, from the ones who chops your wood to the one who draws your water, so that you may enter into the sworn covenant of the Lord your God, which the Lord your God is making with you today, that he may establish you today as his people, and that he may be your God, as he promised you, and as he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It is not with you alone that I am making this one covenant, but with whomever is standing here with us today before the Lord our God, and with whoever is not here with us today. You know how we lived in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the midst of the nations through which you passed. And you have seen their detestable things, their idols of wood and stone, of silver and gold, which were among them. Beware lest there be any among you, man or woman, or clan or tribe, whose heart is turning away today from the Lord our God, to go and serve the gods of those nations. Beware lest there be among you a root bearing poisonous and bitter fruit, one who, when he hears the words of this sworn covenant, blesses himself in his heart, saying, I shall be saved, though I walk in the stubbornness of my heart. This will lead to the sweeping away of moist and dry alike. The Lord would not be willing to forgive him, but rather the anger of the Lord and his jealousy will smote against that man. And the curses written in this book will settle upon him, and the Lord will blot out his name from the under heaven. And the Lord will sing him out from all the tribes of Israel for calamity, in accordance with all the curses of the covenant written in the book of the law. And the next generation, your children who rise up after you, and the foreigner who comes up from afar, will say, when they see the afflictions of that land and the sickness with which the Lord has made it sick, the whole land burned out with brimstone and salt, nothing sown and nothing growing, where no plants can sprout, an overthrow like that of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim, which the Lord overthrew in his anger and wrath. All the nations will say, why has the Lord done thus to this land? What caused the heat of this great anger? Then the people will say, it is because they abandoned the covenant of the Lord, the God of their fathers, which he made with them when he brought them out of the land of Egypt, and went and served other gods and worshipped them, gods whom they had not known, and whom he had not allotted them to them. Therefore the anger of the Lord was kindled against this land, bringing upon it all the curses written in this book. And the Lord uprooted them from their land in anger. and fury and great wrath, and cast them into another land as they are this day. The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things that are revealed belong to us and our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. This is very interesting because when we look at the children, the chosen children of God, and we know who they are and where they are, and it is exactly what this word is saying. And basically, this is how we got to where we are, which was enslaved, and how we are now, meaning under the curse. But now if you're living for the Lord, then you're walking in the right direction, so he's working with you with your salvation. But just as a whole, when we look at certain atrocities when it comes to certain peoples, we now understand that God will curse the land. He will have sickness, disease, all of these signs as signs of disobedience and worshiping of other gods. So now it says, the first words of this chapter are the contents of it. These are the words of the covenant. Verse 1, that is, these that follow. Here is a first recital of God's dealings with them in order to bringing of them into his covenant. 2, a solemn charge to them to keep the covenant. 3, an abstract of the covenant itself. 4, a specification of the persons taken into the covenant. 5, an intimation of the great design of this covenant against idolatry, in the parentheses, meaning he's emphasizing a most solemn and dreadful denunciation of the wrath of God against such person as promise themselves peace in a sinful way. The conclusion of this treaty with distinction between things secret and things revealed. So let's get into it because it is a lot to cover, and we are going to talk about it all because this is just a lot. So when we look at the land, when we look at all of these things, and people talk about these places, when they come earthquakes and all these different things, when they're impoverished, when they fall, these other countries take over them, we must understand something. When we look at what God says, including the animals, plant life, get cursed alone, because even when Adam and Eve were thrown out of the garden, when he cursed the land, he cursed them individually, Adam, Eve, the snake, and the land. So a lot of these things make a lot of sense when we think about them. We're going to get into it. So Deuteronomy chapter 29 is part of Moses' final speeches to the Israelites before they enter into the promised land. It focuses on renewing the covenant between God and Israel. Here are the major themes. We're going to look at these major themes: renewal of the covenant, reminder of God's past actions, warning against idolatry, consequences of breaking the covenant, hidden and revealed things. And so, hold on. It's a reminder of what God has done. Secret idolatry, national consequences of breaking the covenant, the famous final verse with spiritual meaning, ancestral lineage, covenantal lineage, generational lineage, prophetic lineage, deeper hitting root of bitterness. Okay, hold on. Okay, so it's gonna say, hold on, give me 1 second. Okay, it says Deuteronomy 29 takes place at the end of Moses' life. Israel has finished 40 years in the wilderness and is camped across the Jordan River. Moses gathers everyone to formally renew the covenant before they enter the promised land. And this chapter is essentially a renewal of vows between God and Israel. Remember, that's his bride. These are his children. God is the covenant giver. Israel is the covenant receiver. Moses is the covenant witness. So he stands as a witness. When you get married, that's, these are altars, covenants, and contracts. So remember, these are very important. It mirrors an ancient Near Eastern treaty ceremony with blessings for obedience and consequences for rebellion. So your blessings or curses, this is what it is. So we're going to go verse by verse, verse 1 through 9. Remember what God has done, meaning Moses reminds Israel, you saw the miracles in Egypt, meaning remember where I brought you from. I am your father, I'm your husband, I'm your, your provider. I'm here, do not betray me. Basically, that's what that means. That's like your parent being with you, doing all they can. Do not betray me. Because if you do, you're going to see the side of me you don't want to see. So this is what God is saying. Moses reminds Israel, you saw miracles in Egypt, meaning you saw what I did to them. I defeated them on your behalf. He sent all of the pestilence, all of those plagues. You saw Pharaoh defeated. God kept you 40 years with supernatural provision, meaning your sandals and stuff didn't get jacked up, meaning he's still providing. It wasn't what you wanted. You got manna, all these things. It wasn't what you wanted, but you were still provided for. Be thankful and grateful. This goes for people out there who are not grateful. Their parents do for them, their children. A lot of them are just ungrateful. You conquer Sihon and Og by God's power, not on your own might. God provides. God proves his character by history, not theory. Verses 10 through 15, everyone is standing in this covenant. All groups are named, meaning the leaders, the elders, the men, women, and children, foreigners, future generations that are not even yet born. Meaning this covenant is intergenerational, communal, and inclusive. Verses 16 through 21, beware of the root of bitterness and secret idolatry. Moses warned some people will pretend loyalty, but keep idols in their hearts, meaning worship the other gods still, even though he told them not to. Remember, this is what this is about. Not just that, but all the other laws that he gave them. They think they can be blessed while rebelling, but inner rebellion brings spiritual decay. Idolatry begins invisibly in the heart. Verses 22 to 28, if Israel abandons God, the land will suffer, not only the land, but them. If they turn to other gods, the land becomes barren. Strangers will see the devastation and ask why, but the answer will be Israel broke covenant, exile will follow. God doesn't abandon Israel. Israel removes itself from God's protection. Why? Because it leaves God. Why? It breaks the covenant. It leaves the protection of God by leaving him to go chase after the other gods. And this is what happens. The secret things belong to God, a foundational spiritual principle. God holds mysteries that we don't see, but he reveals enough for obedience, and revelation is tailored to purpose. Mystery is divine obedience. It requires trust, not full understanding. Why? Because even as adults, there's certain things our children do not understand until they get certain ages, so we don't tell them. Why? Because they're not equipped to handle it. Theological Dueteronomy 29 introduces the concept of collective responsibility. The root of bitterness refers to someone who secretly worship idols, right, corrupting the community. The secret thing belongs to God. God judges hidden sin. People judge visible actions, meaning what's on the outside. God knows their true heart, their true motives and intentions. The exile prophecy is fulfilled in later Jewish history. Christian interpretation, the covenant is seen as a foreshadowing of the new covenant in Christ. The root of bitterness connects to Hebrews 12:15. Bitterness defiles many. We're going to get into bitterness because bitterness has a knot. The covenant, including those not born, prefigures the inclusion of all nations in faith. That includes the ones who are not yet born. Deuteronomy 29 is part of a prophetic cycle that appears repeatedly in the Bible. Covenant, blessing, rebellion, exile, repentance, restoration. Future prophecies build on this. Jeremiah speaks of the coming exile. Ezekiel describes the return. Jesus refers to the hardened hearts and hidden things revealed. Revelation echoes covenant faithfulness versus idolatry. The scattered and then gathered theme becomes foundational for end times expectations. Now, biological lineage, yes, Israel descends from Abraham, but bloodline alone does not guarantee obedience. Covenant lineage, anyone who chooses the covenant, including foreigners, becomes spiritually included. Exactly. Generational lineage, your obedience affects your children, your grandchildren, and your unborn generations. Identity and lineage, the covenant forms identity, chosen, protected, guided, set apart, accountable, destined, and you don't merely believe it, you inherit it. Deep within the wilderness teaches dependence. God preserves the children in their clothes and their sandals for 40 years symbolism. What God calls you to do, he will sustain you through. Idolatry is eternal before external. False worship begins in desire and pride and ego, in unhealed wounds, and in bitterness. We're going to look at bitterness. The root of bitterness is generational. It spreads through families, communities, and nations. God warns not just as individuals, but entire lineages. God reveals enough for obedience. You don't need to understand everything. You only need to follow what was revealed. Exactly. Practical life application. Remember what God has done for you. Your spiritual memory is your spiritual fuel. Walk the covenant daily. Faith isn't an event, it's a lifestyle. Guard your heart from hidden idols, meaning modern idols are yourself, money, approval, relationships, and success. Your obedience blesses your descendants. What you break, your children won't have to fight. What you build, your grandchildren will inherit. Accept that mystery is part of faith. Obey what you know. Trust God with what you don't know. Devotional reflection, which you are spiritual, Jordan. Okay, hold on. Wait a minute. I'm gonna go back because I think I missed some things that I wanted to read. harping on. Hold on, let me see. Okay, so here we're seeing the renewal of covenant is Moses gathers all the people, leaders, elders, women, children, and even foreigners living among them, and calls them to reaffirm their covenant with God. Purpose is to remind them that they are God's chosen people, to ensure future generations also to understand this covenant. Reminder of God's past actions. Moses recounts what God has done, delivering them from Egypt, sustaining them in the wilderness, meaning clothes and sandals, lasting 40 years, giving victories over Sihon and Og, giving land to the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the half tribe of Manasseh. Warning against idolatry. Moses warned that turning to other gods, looking to other gods, forbidding practices will bring judgment upon the nation. He describes idolatry as a poisonous root that can corrupt the whole community. Consequences of breaking covenant. Moses warns that if Israel abandons God, the land will become desolate. This is what happens when you go to worship other gods. You abandon God. You break that tie. That's like adultery. That's what he said. It's adultery. You being married and committing adultery. You are unloyal, untrustworthy. Other nations will see devastation and ask why. The answer will be because the people broke covenant with God. This section describes a future exile if they turn away. Remember, when you look at what they're doing now, this is what's been going on. All of these other gods that are being worshipped are satanic. They talk about ancestors. That's not what they are. Those are the familiar spirits, the monitoring spirits, the household spirits, and enemies. This is where that come from. Those are also the demons, the Anunnakis, the fallen angels, all of those type of disembodied ones. So this is what this is about. So the secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things revealed belong to us and our children forever. Meaning some things only God knows, but the teachings he has revealed are meant to guide us and our descendants. Moses is near the end of his life. Israel standing at the east of the Jordan, preparing to enter the promised land. This chapter is a covenant renewal ceremony. Remember that what God has done, that's always, at the forefront. If you got someone who has been taking care of you, loving you, doing all these things, why would you break the covenant with them? This is what God is talking about. Moses reminds Israel, you witnessed God break Egypt's power. You lived 40 years in the wilderness, reminding them you won supernatural victories. Your clothes and sandals are not wear out. I provided for you no matter what was going on. God is saying spiritual meaning. Your past proved my faithfulness. Trust me for your future. Your history becomes your spiritual authority. Everyone is included in this covenant. All the people are named: leaders, elders, officers, men, women, and children. Even the foreigners that live among them are still considered to be a part of this. That's why Jew and Gentile alike. Future generations that are not even yet born. Spiritual meaning, this covenant is generational and inclusive. No one is left out. Your spiritual lineage extends beyond biology, includes anyone choosing the covenant path. This is the root of the spiritual idea that you don't inherit salvation through bloodline, but by choosing God's covenant. That's so important because when we look at it, from a standpoint of just being a Jew, a Hebrew, an Israelite, no, because it's including others and outsiders as long as they are willing to live within the covenant. Meaning you're going to receive the blessings when you're in the covenant, whether you are a Jew or Hebrew or Gentile or not, and you're going to receive the curses as well. Why? Because you are part of that covenant. Warning about secret idolatry. Moses warns if someone thinks that they can live in rebellion and still be blessed, they are deceiving themselves, meaning living a double life. And that's what happens when you're practicing sorcery and you're trying to say you are with God. You're living a double life. There's no way you could do that. You're committing adultery because that's like being in a marriage and sleeping around, and that's not going to work. Moses warns if someone thinks that they could do that and still be blessed, they're deceiving themselves. Spiritual meaning, idolatry begins in the heart, long before it becomes visible. A root that produces bitterness and poison represents inner rebellion. God sees secret sin, not just public acts. This becomes a key biblical principle. Internal loyalty matters more than external performance. This is why you see a lot of stuff going on, because people were outwardly really and then they're struggling. Now we all going to struggle with things, don't get me wrong. And even though if you're preaching, teaching it in front of people, you still have salvation inside of you that God is working out daily, your walk as well. So it's not that you're going to be perfect, but it's just certain things, especially when it comes to this, and after a certain amount of time, sinning, which is continual, and being a sinner is two different things. Continuing in it habitually is a problem. You see what I'm saying? And this is what God is warning them about. Especially because it's so easy to do, because it's a slow thing. It doesn't start out right away. This is why he told them to stay away from these people, do certain things, don't marry them, don't do this, don't practice their customs. Why? Because it's simple. A conversation could be befriending, then it turns into, oh, we hanging out, now we over here, and then the things that they're doing is not, you know, considered to be a sin anymore. Why? Because you slowly, progressively, you don't find yourself in sin right away. You know, you don't go from hot to cold. It's a slow, you were cold, you heating up, and then you're hot. That's how it goes. So if Israel abandons the covenant, the land becomes barren. God curses the land. When you see these lands and these countries that are having all these pestilence, sickness, disease, poverty, all these things, that's what you could tell. There's stuff going on. There's disobedience, there's rebellion, all these things, and they're living up under the curse. Other nations would ask, why did this happen? The answer, they forsook God. God allowed exile, not abandonment. The covenant remains, but blessings are suspended. I'm not going to bless you. I'm going to, you know, how you expect to be with somebody and you want all the benefits of them, but you don't want them. You want to go be somewhere else. You want to give it to everyone else. And this is the problem, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're at your job, whatever it is, it could be your children, it could be a spouse, it could be a coworker, it's whoever. This is the reciprocity. God requires you to be loyal to him, just like you want him to be loyal to you. You want his love, his blessings. Be loyal to him too. And that's not a lot to ask. So spiritual meaning, this becomes a prophetic foundation of Babylonian exile, right? When I talk about Rome and Babylon and all of these, and he spoke about, you know, Sodom and Gomorrah. Why? These were the reasons he destroyed them. These were the practices that they were doing, and this is why he destroyed those nations. For the same reason, the Babylonian exile, future dispensations of Israel, the cycles of repentance and restoration. God is explaining, if you choose other gods, you remove yourself from not only my protection, but my covenant remains with you, but you won't get the benefits, meaning the blessings, all of that. No, you're going to get the cursings. Why? Because you're over there. The famous final verse, and whatever happens to you while you're over there doing all of this, because remember, dealing with those other guys is dealing with Satan. And whatever Satan's going to do, if you choose Satan, then that's what you're going to get, whatever Satan has for you. The famous final verse, Moses concludes with the principle, some things belong only to God, the secret things. Other things have been revealed for us and our children forever. What God reveals is enough to walk in obedience, meaning you don't get everything. You don't get the full picture. When you walk with God, you're not. And even as children, we don't always know what our parents is doing or in our job. We don't know what they're doing. We just know that they told us X, Y, and Z and this. And you just, you know, it could be whatever. So when we're doing these things, we must understand. Okay. Spiritual meaning. This verse introduces the biblical idea of revelation, of mystery, prophetic knowledge, divine sovereignty, human responsibility. This becomes foundations for spiritual maturity. Focus on what God has revealed, not what he has concealed. So when you're doing stuff, just do what you know to do that is right. Because I find that, you know, when you're not sure, that's the best way, because you're walking in faith. You're not going to know everything. God will reveal things over time when he's ready and not all at once. It's like a puzzle, and you just have to walk with it. Faith without works is dead. You're not going to know everything that's going to go on. And you may, even with fear, you still got to walk. Even if you're fearing, if you're not knowing, you still got to walk in it, because you can't go back and you can't stay still. Eventually it's going to happen. Whatever it is he's trying to show you is going to come to clarity. It is not the greatest. It's dependency. It's trusting him. This is what it's going to build in you. It's going to build that relationship if you know you could trust him. And it takes you from faith to faith. If he did that, he'll do this, you know. And this is where this is where we are. And it's different things for everybody. It could be sickness. It could be disease. It could be finances. It could be mental issues. It could be spiritual, emotional, and whatever. And it could be in any and every area of your life. 4 layers of spiritual lineage. 1 is ancestral lineage. Israel literally descends from the patriarchs. Oh, I already did that. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but Moses makes it clear your ancestors' faith cannot save you. You must choose God for yourself. This is very important, because we seem to think because our grandmother or we or whoever was saved. Yeah, no, you got it on your own. Covenant lineage. Anyone who joins the covenant becomes part of the spiritual family. This is how foreigners could be included. This is why it doesn't matter, you know, what race, color, creed. If you want to be a part of the kingdom of God, he's always here with open arms. Welcome to you. Why? Christ died so that the Jews, the Gentiles alike, all the other nations, nations can be saved if they come out of those ways, meaning they have to turn away from those gods that they are serving and renounce them and repent. And God is willing, he's loving and faithful, so he will forgive and allow them to come in. But he's not going to do the half-hearted. He's not going to let you come and be halfway. And this is what he's telling them now. I delivered you, you're here, and I'm not going to let you be halfway with me. Hello. Covenant lineage. Anyone who joins the covenant becomes part of the spiritual family. This is how foreigners could be included. This concept eventually becomes a theological foundation for the Gentile believers, because remember, Christ's own people did not accept him. They turned their backs. They let him go to the cross. They betrayed him. So he sent it to the Gentiles as well, and it was to be preached. The gospel was to be preached to every Jew and Gentile alike. It doesn't matter. Principality, nationality, race, whatever it is, yes, because it is the gift of salvation that was given from Christ dying on the cross for the whole world, all of humanity, not just a specific group of people any longer. God extended his grace to us all. Inclusion of outsiders and spiritual adoption, meaning being adopted. You know, when you adopt someone, you can't give them back. You have them yourself, you can, yeah, but when you adopt them, you cannot. And that's why it's so wonderful, because God adopts even those who are not his chosen, his own, that he picked for himself, and he's grafted them in through Jesus Christ dying on the cross to bridge the gap from us back to God the Father through the Son and the Holy Spirit. Generational lineage. The covenant is deliberately multi-generational. Your children, your grandchildren, and those who are not even yet born. This is why all of these things are so important when it comes to bitterness, when it comes to jealousy, when it comes to obedience, when it comes to blessing and cursing, because you will pass it down to them. Irregardless, it will be in the bloodline. The curses will be there, and depending on if they choose to continue on, it will be the same for them. So whatever you don't fight for and don't break, your grandchildren and children will inherit. Those will be the same cycles that they would inherit, meaning your obedience creates spiritual inheritance for generations after you. Prophetic lineage. This chapter lays groundwork for future restoration, even if Israel becomes scattered, which they did. Even if they break the covenant, which they did, God will restore them when they turn back. But have they turned back? This becomes fulfilled later in the return from Babylon, the prophetic expectation of future redemption. Deeper hidden knowledge. The covenant is not only an agreement, it is a spiritual DNA. When you enter God's covenant, your identity changes, your lineage becomes larger than biology. It becomes divine purpose. The root of bitterness represents generational curses. Internal rebellion produces spiritual corruption, broken families. Wow. Generational patterns of disobedience. This is where this comes in at. This is how, you know, we have the lineage of not being married, the lineage of the jail, the lineage of all of these. When you look at the patterns or sickness, disease, poverty, that's where that comes from. False worship, inner idolatry, meaning self-pride and ego. The covenant breaks these cycles. Exactly. So when we look at it, it starts with spiritual corruption. Then it goes to the broken families. This is why we see it. This is the pattern, the generational patterns of disobedience. Then you have the false worship. We see this going on in the churches everywhere. Why? Because they're going to church and they're going home and they're doing the same old thing, expecting God to change their lives, and that's not how it's going to be. If you're going to go to church, you can't be drinking and partying on the weekend. Now, I'm not going to say that God is not going to work with you, because he will. But what it's saying is you cannot habitually practice this and think that it's going to be okay. Eventually, God is going to be like, listen, you playing games, and I'm going to let you be over there. I'm going to let you stay over there. You worship your God. You do what you do. But whatever you get out of it, don't be mad at me about it. Because guess what? I told you not to do this. I told you not to do that. You hard-headed. You chose the curse over the blessing. I put it before you. Stay over here. Let me help you, protect you, do right by you as your husband, your father, your mother, you know, your parent, and you don't want to listen. So whatever you get is what you get. Take accountability for your actions. When things go wrong, do not be angry with me about it. God's preservation in the wilderness represents spiritual formation. The wilderness is where your identity is cleansed, your past is released, your dependence shifts to God, and your spiritual authority grows. Why? But the identity cleansing is purifying. That's letting you go through all of this hardship to test you, to cleanse you, to take out, you know, to sift you, take out what is not of God, all of the, you know, wicked, evil past, your people, places, and things, your heart, your mind, all of these things. And then your past is released. Then your dependence shifts to God instead of people, places, and things. Your spiritual authority, that's when it grows. The warnings are not punishment, they are protection. God is saying, stay with me so you stay safe. Exactly. The judgment is not God attacking them. It is the natural result of abandoning his covering, letting them know, if you leave this yard, and you go out in that street, and if you get hit, you can get hit, you by a car, anything can happen to you. But if it does, I'm warning you before you get over there. You get over there and stuff happens, don't say. Why? Because this is what's going to happen. He's telling you. Meaning you don't need for understanding to walk in faith, because the secret things belong to God. That's what it means. Revelation comes progressively, exactly as you're walking. He'll reveal. Mystery is part of spirituality. It is. You can obey without having all the answers. You just have to trust God sometimes. Okay, the renewal of vows is between God and Israel. God is the oh yeah, I did that already. All right, let me see. Let me go down because I already did this. Let me see. I think I did that. I wanted to get into this bitterness thing. Hold on, because I want to get back to the bitterness. That's what I'm looking for. So we can look into this bitterness really, really good. Okay, we were here. Okay, standing at the Jordan. You're standing at the edge of something new. This is a crossing, a transition. It's a shift in identity and purpose. God is whispering 3 truths to you. Remember what I brought you through, not just look back, but to recognize my faithfulness, meaning everything I've done. Every survival was a sign of my covenant with you, my love for you. I'm renewing my covenant with you today. God is reestablishing purpose, protection, identity, clarity, and peace. Let go of what you carried from the wilderness, meaning the old baggage that I was taking out that you don't need anymore. Old patterns that can't cross the Jordan, old wounds that can't cross the Jordan, old bitterness can't cross the Jordan, old people, places, and things. You're not just stepping into a new location, you're stepping into a new spiritual season. That's talking about how you got to let go of the old to get to the new. That's the transition. That's where the wilderness was. Covenant renewal. Wait a minute. Okay. Spiritual warfare. God rooted. This chapter teaches 3 powerful warfare principles. Hold on. One, memory is a weapon. Moses did spiritual warfare by reminding the people God defeated your enemies before and he will do it again. Your testimony is your spiritual sword. Use it. When God did it before, he'll do it again. That's why testimony is so powerful. Warfare principle 2, hidden things have spiritual consequences. Inner idolatry invites spiritual bondage. So meaning inner workings of still longing for the old or longing to worship these other things. The enemy works best where things stay unspoken and or unhealed. Deliverance begins where honesty begins. Yes, we got to dig up all that old ugliness. That's how the healing, deliverance, and restoration is so important. This is what God was doing, refining them during that process in the wilderness. Warfare principle 3, covenant protects you. The safest place is obedience. When you honor God's covenant, curses break, cycles stop, protection increases, and clarity rises. This is why keeping the covenant is so important, because that's a warfare principle. God is going to fight for you as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do when it comes to him. You're keeping your word. If you're staying, you're walking with, it's not saying you're going to be perfect, but you're not habitually practicing sin. You're not out there just, I'm going to do what I want to. No. You're allowing God to refine you. You're giving him pieces of you daily so he can work on you, this stuff that's going on, and you giving him some stuff and he's going to take it and give you the healing portions of your old wounds and baggage. Symbolic and prophetic themes. Deuteronomy 29 carries a prophetic parallels. 1, Egypt equals the past, where you were delivered from. This means bondage, trauma, oppression, and old habits. Just seeing that just says a lot. Wilderness equals the place where God trains identity. You didn't wander because you were lost. You wandered so God could form you. 3, the Jordan River, your transition into purpose. A spiritual threshold is what that was, a crossing moment and a divine invitation. The promised land equals destiny, calling, fullness. Not a perfect place, but a prepared place. So there's going to be stuff going on there, but God has already been, getting you prepared for your new life. But don't think wherever you go is going to be full of roses. It's not. You're going to have trials and tribulations even when you get to the promised land. But whatever he has prepared you for in the valley and in, where you were before, it's going to be in preparation, because whatever's coming is going to usually be more. Root of bitterness, generational and or emotional residue. Ooh, things passed down or held inside that is blocking your blessings. Ooh, and now we're going to get into bitterness. Exile warnings equal consequences of disconnection. Not punishment, but natural outcome of stepping away from God's covering. In the healing guide, uprooting the root of bitterness. This is what I want. The root is hidden, generational, emotional, and spiritual. Step 1, identify the wound. Ask, what still stings when I think about it? Ooh, yeah. Step 2, name the agreement. Bitterness forms agreements like I can't trust you anymore. I have to protect myself. I'll never be free. Yes. Trust breaks agreements. Step 3, release the person or memory. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It's untangling your spirit from the wound. Step 4, replace bitterness with blessing. Speak life into the space where pain lived. Step 5 is to establish new identity. Bitterness steals identity. God restores it. So renewing the covenant is remembering God's faithfulness, miracles, preservation, and protection. Application, gratitude restores perspective. Being thankful. Everyone is called to the covenant. No one is excluded, even future generations. Your application is your obedience blesses others. Beware the root of bitterness, hidden rebellion, internal idols, and deception of self blessings. Meaning that you did it. Application, guard your heart. Consequences of disconnection. Judgment isn't God's absence. It's the absence of God's covering. Application for that. Stay aligned with God. The secret things and the revealed things. God is sovereign. You have enough revelation to obey today, like what you need to do today, right? So what you need to do, application, trust the process. Wow. Okay, it was a prayer that I had wanted to look at. This was really good. Hold on. I want to go back because I thought I saw a prayer, and it's a prayer that I wanted to do. It looked really good. All right, let me see. And what we can do as something that we want to look at when we want to question ourselves, we can do this. Remember God's past actions, recommit to God's covenant, warn against hidden idolatry, right? Understand the generational consequences of obedience, meaning this includes everything in your life. Prepare for transition into the promised land. This chapter is about identity, legacy, loyalty, and transition. This is the purpose of this chapter. The key themes to study is God reveals enough for obedience, meaning not everything is explained, but everything needed is given at the time you need it. The heart matters more than the ritual, right? Secret idolatry is destructive as visible rebellion. Generational impact is real. Obedience creates spiritual inheritance. Rebellion creates spiritual fragmentation, so tear apart. Covenant protects, not restricts. God's boundaries are coverings, not cages. Transition requires renewal. Before entering new places, old agreements must be broken and new ones established. We got questions. We can reflect on what Egypt moments has God delivered you from? What lessons did your wilderness teach you? What hidden idols, meaning habits, attitudes, relationships, need releasing? That's people, places, and things. What generational patterns ends with you? What promises are meant for your descendants? We can write down a personal journal. Day 1, remember, write down 5 times God's preserved you when you shouldn't have made it. Day 2, identity. Who are you in covenant? Describe your spiritual identity in 10 words. Day 3, hidden roots. Ask, what am I carrying privately that God wants to heal? Day 4, lineage. List patterns in your family line that end with you. Day 5, blessings. Name 7 things you want your spiritual descendants to inherit. Day 6, the secret things. What mysteries in your life do you need to trust God with? Day 7, the crossing. Write what you believe God is leading you toward next. Your memory prayer could be prayer of memory. God, remind me of your faithfulness. Day 2, prayer of covenant. I renew my loyalty to you. Day 3, prayer of purification. Expose and heal every hidden root in me. Day 4, prayer of generations. Bless those who will come after me. Day 5, prayer of protection. Cover me from consequences of past cycles. Day 6, prayer of trust. I surrender what I do not understand. Day 7, a prayer of crossing. Lead me into places you prepared for me. Crossing the Jordan, prophetic activation. This is a symbolic action to represent spiritual transition. Write down what needs to stay behind. Fears, habits, relationships, environments, and mindsets. Anything that cannot come with you. Step 2, draw a line on paper. This represents the Jordan River. Step 3, write your new season on the other side. Words like healing, clarity, purpose, rest, focus, obedience, restoration. Step 4, physically move the paper forward. A prophetic act symbolizes stepping into what God has designed. Step 5, speak this out loud. I cross over into the future God has prepared for me. Now, I'm a woman called to remember God's faithfulness, to break hidden cycles, to protect my spiritual lineage, to walk in covenant identity, and to transition boldly into what God has promised me. I step forward with clarity, strength, and divine purpose. Okay, so now I wanted to look at the bitterness theme, because remember, and I want to get into that last little prayer that they had up there, if I can. Now, bitterness, we're going to look into what bitterness is. Bitterness is a doorkeeper, a gatekeeper spirit. You will need to, okay. And what it is in order to forgive, you need to release the people that have wronged you. If you cannot forgive, bind and cast, well, it's a spirit of unforgiveness. Also, it's anguish. So bitterness comes with acrid, unpleasant taste or smell, acrimony, anger, anguish, anti-submission. It comes with arthritis, bone and joint problems, cold-heartedness, critical judgment, depression, despair, deep sorrow, destruction, discouragement, disease and infirmity, distrust, disunity, discord, easily offended or offense, envy and jealousy, fatigue, grievous grudge holding, hard heart numbness, harsh, sharp, and disagreeable, hatred, hate, hostility, irritable, malevolent heart, mean disposition, memory recall, recording of wrongs, mental torment, murder, physical pain, discomfort, rage, rebellion, regret, rehearsing spirits, resentment, retaliation, root of bitterness, sadness, sorrow, sarcastic, cutting tongue, self-bitterness, self-centered, self-hate, self-pity, self-sabotage, spirit of accusation, spirit of offense, spirit of wormwood, strife, temper, tiredness, torment, unforgiveness, victim spirit, violence, wishing out to others, and woundness. But where does it come from? We're going to look up, because bitterness has a root, and this is what this is talking about. So we're going to look into bitterness as a root. Okay, bitterness go deep spiritually, emotionally, and practically, but in a safe and grounded and appreciated for all its audience. We're going to look into it. This will help us understand what bitterness is, where it comes from, how it affects your spirit, mind, and relationships, how to uproot it, how to heal from what caused it, how to protect yourself from it returning. No judgment, no shame, just truth and healing. What bitterness really is? Bitterness is not just anger. Okay, so it's anger. It's stored up pain. Bitterness is what happens when a wound didn't get healed, a betrayal didn't get processed, a disappointment didn't get released, a grief didn't get comforted, and a wrong wasn't acknowledged. It is unresolved hurt that hardened. This is where the hardened heart comes in. When God talks about the hardened heart, this is how it gets hardened. Bitterness says, that wasn't fair, that still hurts, and I'm still carrying what they did. It is an emotional scar tissue, thick, protective, and painful. But here's the truth. Bitterness does not mean you're a bad person. It means you were hurt. Where bitterness comes from? Bitterness often grows from experiences like 1, betrayal, being lied to, manipulated, cheated on, and misled. Disappointment when life didn't match the effort you put in. Repeated rejection, meaning friends, family, partners, jobs, and patterns that leave bruises. Feeling misunderstood and or unprotected, especially in childhood. Carrying unfair responsibility, being the strong one for too long. Loss or grief that was never fully processed. When you had to keep going even though you weren't okay. Bitterness is the body's way of saying, I'm still hurting and you never slowed down long enough to help me heal. How bitterness shows up in your life? Bitterness rarely announces itself. It comes disguised. 1, overthinking. Replay. 2, sensitivity, feeling touched too easily because old wounds flare up. Irritation, little things feel bigger. Emotional shutdown, not trusting people easily. That's that wall of protection. Self-protection, that becomes isolation. The walls that become prisons. That's when you chain and shackle your heart. You put those walls up around your heart and your mind to protect yourself. Seeing life through the lens of past hurt. Not because you're negative, but because you're protecting yourself. It's not your personality, it's your pain speaking through you. How to uproot bitterness. This part is important. Bitterness doesn't leave by force, it leaves by healing. Here's the 4-step process. Step 1, identify the real wound. Bitterness is the fruit. Pain is the root. Ask yourself gently, what meant to hurt me the most? What meant to hurt me the most? Who disappointed me when I needed them the most? What part of me feels unprotected? The bitterness is trying to reveal the wound. You never had time to touch me, the time to sit down and heal from. Acknowledge it. Step 2, and this includes the forgiveness, that's all in there too. 2, let yourself feel what you never got to feel. This is sometimes you have to go through the process of loss, whether people, places, and things are living or dead. You have to grieve. When you don't take time out to grieve and to heal, this is what happens. Bitterness takes root. Bitterness keeps an emotion frozen in time. You might need to feel sadness, anger, abandonment, betrayal, and grief. Feeling is not weakness. It is the doorway to healing. Many people don't like to feel these ways, so they brush it, they don't deal with it, they lock it, and they just don't be bothered with it. Step 3, release the person and or event, not to excuse them. This is you forgive them, but to free yourself. Releasing it is not saying that it was okay. It is saying you can't own me anymore. Forgiveness is not forgetting, excusing, reconciling, pretending. Forgiveness is untangling your soul from the wound. Step 4, replace the empty space with peace and truth. After bitterness is uprooted, you must plant something new. Boundaries, self-respect, new habits, new identity, and new peace. Healing is not only about letting pain go, it's about replacing it with something better. How to protect yourself from bitterness in the future. Speak your feelings early. Bitterness grows in silence. Create healthy boundaries. People who overgive often become bitter. Stop expecting people to heal wounds they didn't cause. Only you and God can do that inner work. Let go of needing an apology. Most people can't give what they don't have, meaning they can't give you forgiveness if they don't have it. They can't give you love if they don't have it. They don't know how to do it. This is what this is about. Keep your peace protected. You don't owe the world unlimited access to you. Exactly. 6, a gentle affirmation for your heart. Repeat this softly. I release what hurt me. I honor what it taught me. I choose peace over resentment. My past does not control my future. I am healing layer by layer, day by day. Wow. Wow, so this is what bitterness is, and it's very important that we see it, we know it, and we understand it, because a lot of times we don't. We don't. And we sit here and we talk about things and we think that it's okay, and we don't realize how deep it is if we don't deal with it. Most of us go our whole lives just running up and down, working, trying to be successful, trying to do all of these things. And we really don't get the time to sit down. If we lost people, if we lost things, if things that we don't have the time to sit down and process what went wrong in our lives. And because we hold on to it, we don't acknowledge it, we ignore it, we sweep it under the rug, and we keep it moving. This is how so much stuff builds up over time. And then when your life falls apart, now I tell people, well, you can have a nervous breakdown, whatever they want to call it, that midlife crisis, whatever they want to call it. This is what happens. All of this stuff that you just thought was gone or didn't pay it no mind and just kept moving forward, and you never actually acknowledge it, you never dealt with it, you never healed from it, whether it was relationships, spouses, marriages, whether it was jobs or stuff that happened, whether it was disappointments from careers, businesses going under, whatever it was, discouragement, disappointments, things that didn't go right, that hurt you, betrayals, disappointments, all these things, discouragements, whatever it was, when you do not deal with it and you just keep going and things just keep happening, that's why healing is a journey. It's not an overnight thing. It's a continual process. Why? Because as you're healing, things are going to happen and you're going to have to continue to heal. So it's like, it's an ongoing thing, just like salvation is an ongoing thing. And this is what we need to understand. So healing, deliverance, and restoration, only God can heal your heart. Only God can give you what man can never give you. A love that is unconditional, all of these things. And when it's time for you to grieve, you have to sit down and go through the steps in the process of grief. for whatever it is didn't go right, whatever hurt you, whatever betrayal. Why? Because if you don't, you'll regret it in the end. It'll be so much piled up, and by the time you done got yourself in a hole, and you don't even know how you got there. Of all this stuff just over, the overwhelmingness. This is what this is about. And it affects your mind, it affects your body, how you perform, if you're sluggish, tired all the time. All of these things, your mind can't process and think like that. Why? Because you need to detox yourself of all this unhealed baggage, all this heartache, hurt, and pain that you never dealt with. So now we're going to look at the bitterness healing package. Bitterness, identify the root, sit quietly, ask what memories still feel sharp, what moments made me shut down, who took something from me emotionally. Write down one moment, just one. This reduces overwhelmingness. Name the emotion underneath. Bitterness is a covered emotion. Under it is usually hurt, betrayal, abandonment, exhaustion, sadness, rejection. Ask, what was I really feeling when this happened, and write it down. Step 3, let the emotion out in safe, meaning let it out in a safe, controlled way. Choose one method. Write a letter you won't send. Cry for 60 seconds. Speak out loud. This hurt me. Shake out your body for 20 seconds. Release an emotion prevents bitterness from hardening. That's when you get the hardening of your heart. Replace the emotional space. Ask, what do I need now? What would conform me, and what truth do I want to stand on? Write one sentence that brings you peace, that becomes your anchor. Boundary setting. God, bitterness grows where boundaries are missing. Here are 4 essential boundaries. Emotional boundaries. You do not have to explain every feeling, justify past pain. Stay connected to people and places things who drained you. Say, I choose what I share and whom I share with. Time boundaries. Your time is sacred. Say, I do not rush myself to meet others' expectations. See, relationship boundaries. You can create distance without hostility. Say, I can love people, but from a safe distance. That's how you have to do, whether they apologize or don't sometimes. You have to just let them be, wish them well. If it's not for you, it didn't work, whatever it was, fine. Wish them well and let it go. Energy boundaries. Your space, your peace is your priority. Say,
Man, I forgot my keys in front of you.
Hold on, give me 1 second.
Yeah, I forgot my keys. I'm sorry.
Hold
I'm
on.
joking, I forgot.
Give me 1 second, cause he's on his break.
Oh, man. The first time happened to one time.
Oh.
3, 2,
Coming.
Okay, you got it. Come, 506. He needs a door open.
I'm here. I'm coming up.
Copy. He's coming.
Alright.
Is your key here or no?
Yeah, inside.
You know what? Here. He's coming. He'll do it for you. Thank you. I apologize for that. Okay. Energy boundaries. Your peace is your priority. Hey, go the key. Yeah, you can let me. All right. Thank you.
Hey!
Okay, so I apologize about that. Relationship boundaries. You can create distance without hostility. Say, I can love people from a safe distance. Energy boundaries. Your peace is your priority. Say, anything that costs me my peace costs me too much. Soul detox. Simple. You can breathe, you can visualize, you can imagine unraveling, not forcing, not tearing, loosening, imagining, just relaxing. Whatever it is that you would like to do, you can go for a walk. It's different things for different people. What is a wound that still feels unspoken? What pain did I survive without support? What pattern of bitterness runs in my family? What boundary would have protected me back then? What do I no longer want to carry into my future? So these are things, but I'm going to end this one with this prayer. It's a personal prayer affirmation. You can repeat this daily. I release bitterness one lay at a time. I choose peace over resentment. I heal at my own pace. My heart is becoming lighter, freer, and stronger. Nothing from the past has power over my future, and I am worthy of softness, peace, and emotional safety. So that will be the end of it. I hope that this is how you reclaim your peace. This is how you get healed. You got your trauma, your wounds, all of these things. You got to let your pride and ego go, because you got to be honest with yourself about what is going on. And no matter what it is, you have to release it, the people, places, and things of whatever's going on. And so I would just leave you with this, because like I said, as usual and as always, this is always a process. And
Alright?
I'm good.
That guy used to be crazy, but He became my friend.
He did. Is his key here or no? His key, is it in there?
No. Everything is done.
Yeah, I know, but do he have a spare in there?
It's in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm good. You still ain't?
I understand that.
Okay.
I understand that craziness. Sometimes you have to pretend that you are crazy and then.
I'll call you if I need you.
Alright. You want to make yourself better. You have to act as crazy, right?
Yeah.
You listen to what they say. Okay, just go. I'll see you later.
And that's it. I know that's right. I'll call you if I need you. You got your radio, right?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so but anyway, I apologize about that. I apologize. But anyway, yes, we have to release it. We have to be honest with ourselves, the part we played in it and all of that. And everyone has their own. You got to take accountability for your part. If you continue to allow certain things to happen, if you continue to let yourself be out there, be vulnerable, you keep throwing yourself out there to love and try. You can't make people love you. You can't make them like you. And you got to understand that. And then it's okay. They don't have to, But you don't have to continue to force it. And that's the thing. And so once you realize that, you have to have those boundaries. So I'm not going to keep pouring and keep doing to people, places, and things that's not pouring. This is a reciprocal thing. As we can see, even our relationship with God is reciprocal. If we're not receiving, you're giving, you're supposed to receive. When you plant, you're supposed to reap harvest. If you're not, something is wrong. And the harvest that you are planting is the harvest you'll reap. And if you're not reaping it, because we sow good and bad all of the time. Why? Because we live in a world where it's both. Why? When they ate from the tree of knowledge and good, you can't have good without the bad. Can't have bad without the good. This life is never going to be perfect. It doesn't matter where you go, who you're with, you're going to go through things. I don't care if it's at your job. I don't care if it's, with your kids, with your spouse. Life is not going to be perfect until Christ comes back and take us to heaven. That's it. And we're going to try to live heaven on earth as much as we can. And so because of that, we must do the best we can, and we know it's not going to be perfect. And we accept the things we can, that serenity prayer, change the things we can, know the difference, and keep it going. And the things we cannot is in God's hands, and we have to leave it there. So with that being said, be blessed. We are bruised and not broken. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I hope that this word was a blessing to you. If you would like, you could be a blessing to me and my family. In the description box, I have my Cash App. If not, that is fine. It's not a requirement. God has blessed me to be a blessing, and He's going to continue to provide and protect me and be a blessing to me. So I hope this was a blessing to you. Be blessed, and until the next one.